I was watching some Mark Rober today and saw one of their KiwiCo things, and it was a hockey puck that used a balloon instead of a air hockey table. So I got the idea to make one myself, but without their airflow restrictor thing, because we don't have that. And I tested it. It works pretty well until I did this, which is supposed to keep the balloon straight up to help it from like moving around odd. And this was my first attempt, and it popped the balloon. So I had to take it all apart again, but basically, here's how you do it. First, the materials you need. Hot glue gun, couple extra hot glue sticks. Didn't think I'd need extra hot glue sticks, but turns out I did. And then 2 CDs you don't really care about anymore. Old CDs, ones that are preferably scratched up so they're almost useless. A can of some sort of beverage or some sort of thing to keep it upright, to keep it from rocking around. And then, yeah, and a balloon. And something to cut it with cleanly. This time I used scissors instead of garden shears, like I did on this thing, which needs to be thrown away basically. But for the first step, you want to put the balloon in there like that, and then you need to hot glue around the edges of the balloon on this side and on this side in order to keep it in place. To get the balloon in there, it doesn't have to be pretty, just have to make sure that it sticks. So like, do this a little bit, make sure it stays in there just right. Try to blow it up, make sure you can blow it up. Make sure it works. And then the next part, I'm going to attach this one to this one so that there's a little bit of a layer in between so that the rubber isn't touching the thing, so it can scoot across the surface while still blowing the air out through the bottom. But basically now, we don't want the air, when you blow it up like this, we don't want the air to leak out around here and like expand through there, so we're going to add a little bit of hot glue around here to seal it and then stick them together. Alright, for this next part, we have that sealed now. That's fine and good. Don't move it around too much, it might break the seal. Oh yeah, and depending on what kind of CDs you have, the top part might be better to slide across, or the bottom part, just do that, just take it and like scoot it across. See which side slips better on the surface you're planning to use as your air hockey surface. And then we are going to seal the edges around here with hot glue so it acts as a secondary seal and just keeps them together nice and good. Makes it a bit more solid. Look at the CD kind of like this. Come on, focus. But just make sure there is no hot glue hanging over onto the side where it's going to be scooting around, otherwise it will slow it down and won't work hardly at all. Just to blow in there, make sure you can blow up the balloon, make sure everything's sealed right, add more hot glue in places that are leaking air if they are, and then after that, if all that is good, you will slip the can or whatever you're using over it. Make sure the edges are bent down if it's a can so it doesn't pop the balloon. Or if it's something like, say, this, you should probably be good. Just make sure the edges are smooth so that it doesn't pop the balloon. And then, if need be, you can add a rubber band or air restrictor to it to make it stay floating longer, or whatever you need to do. So in my case, I had to add an airflow restrictor, and now I'm just going to add this. Well, first I guess I could demonstrate to you what happens when you don't have the stabilizer on the balloon. Could you hold this for a minute? So if you don't have the stabilizer on the balloon, it bounces around and can like leave the disc other places and lift it up, so it doesn't work quite right. So that's the reason why we add this onto here. Once it's fully deflated, just tuck this through the hole of the pop can and then tuck it down as far as down as you can go. You can hot glue it to the base if you want to keep it a bit more stable, but now in theory it should hold the balloon upright, keep it from flopping around and throwing off the course of the thing. As for things to hit it with, just take some cans from your recycling. Any can will work, and that's your thing. You can use probably just about anything if you wanted to. Take one of these, stick some sort of thing inside of it, and you could use it like that. Just about anything like that. If it's round and you think you can hit it with it, go for it. Now, I was shown something that might be a slight issue, that the opening of the can might poke the balloon. But so long as you have like an airflow restrictor or like hot glue in my case covering up the inside of the balloon where that is, it should be fine. You can always add a little more hot glue around there if you're worried about it, or sand it down to something a bit smoother. Now, as for runners, like to keep it in a certain area, you could always just use books or like some boxes from your recycling, or just about anything that you think could probably keep it within the bounds. This is obviously a very short table, and yeah, it's a bit of work blowing it up every time, which I understand is an issue. You can always kind of maybe blow it up with some sort of air compressor if you're feeling risky, or a bike pump. You can make a little adapter to go inside of there to blow it up, like they did in the KiwiCo Mark Rober video. But other than that, it should be done. Should be. I need to bend this edge down. So yeah, now you basically have a fun little task and craft, fun little game to play with your kids or friends or parents, whoever you plan on doing this with. Oh yeah, and for bending these edges, you can use your hands, you can use a pair of pliers, is probably more preferable, but I'm too lazy to go grab mine. Yeah. Obviously, you're probably going to want a bigger table for this. This is just for a demonstration and a tiny bit of fun. But we've got these all pretty much lined up pretty good so that it's not going to really hook on anything, even though it is a disc, so it'll probably just like roll.
Or bounce.
Or bounce, because of the hot glue being pretty much rubber. And there we go. Of course, it's not blowing out air right now, so it's not scooting very well. But like I said again, clean off the surface beforehand as well to make sure there aren't any things like it'll get caught on, like I feel something, and that's a little bit of extra hot glue. But just make sure it will coast along the surface well. You might have to clean your table a bit. And we've got some separation on it, so we'll just have to hot glue that again. Of course, there are probably better ways to do this. Use a little silicone from like one of the big caulking guns or something like that. Put it in a little syringe and run it along the edges.
It'd take longer to dry though.
It'd take a while to dry, but it would be more durable for sure.
And it would probably prevent warping.
Yeah, and it wouldn't warp the CDs like this one is.